The dictator faces justice, and the Trump administration faces new questions. Nicolás Maduro traveling by helicopter and then in an armored vehicle heading from a federal detention center to a federal courtroom today. The former Venezuelan dictator claiming that he's a, quote, decent man as he sat before a judge. And tonight, NewsNation with new details on how elite U.S. military forces were able to pull over the daring overnight raid in one of South America's largest cities. But at this very moment right now, as we take a live look up on Capitol Hill, lawmakers huddled behind closed doors, being briefed by the senior-most members of the Trump administration. What exactly is the president's plan, as he puts it, to run Venezuela? And is there one? Our Joe Khalil is live outside that room. Kellie Meyer on the latest threats from the president. But we begin tonight with our Brian Entin on that surreal scene, Brian, that was in and across New York City earlier today.
Yeah, I think that's the best word for it, Blake. Surreal. You think about Maduro living the high life in Venezuela, now in New York City. He showed up, came in a helicopter, then he was put into the Humvee, taken to a back entrance here at the federal courthouse behind me. I was in the courthouse. There were dozens of DEA agents there surrounding him. He was shackled at the ankles. He was sitting at a desk in the courtroom. The lawyer was in the middle, and his wife was on the other end. And it was interesting, Blake, when they asked him to confirm his name, the judge did, he went on this long speech basically saying that he's innocent, that he is a prisoner of war, that he is a decent man, that he is the president of Venezuela. They were having to translate what he was saying, and finally the judge just stopped him and said, "This isn't the time for that. I'm just trying to confirm your name." But he took copious notes throughout the entire hearing. That was interesting too. He basically never stopped writing on a notepad. When it was time for his wife to speak, she said, "I am the first lady of Venezuela." She also said she was innocent and not guilty. And at the end of the hearing, her attorney actually asked for her to receive some medical attention because he claims that she was hurt when the U.S. went in and took them out of their home, that she had some injuries to her head and also perhaps a broken rib. And the judge said, okay, we'll get her the medical attention. One last thing, Blake, I spent the whole weekend in Little Venezuela, in Miami, in Doral, with all the Venezuelans there, making connections with them and also their family members back in Venezuela. And I want to show you this picture that we just had texted to us from a woman in Venezuela right now who says this, you'll see it in a second, it's security forces out on the street. She says that there are these special police out on the street right now in Caracas doing checkpoints there's the picture, Blake, and stopping people and checking their cell phones to see if they are messaging anything against Maduro right now, and that they're jailing them if they are. And she actually told us she had to delete the messages she was sending us. That's the kind of fear that people are still living in right now in Venezuela, Blake.
Wow. Our Brian Entin live tonight to start us off here. Brian, thank you. Over now to the Capitol. Congressional briefing happening right now. Our Joe Khalil joins us with the very latest as those lawmakers are in that room behind him. Joe?
Yeah, Blake, we saw the briefers come in already. These are the people who were key to not just making decisions around the Maduro raid, but likely who are going to continue to make decisions about Venezuela for the administration moving forward, meeting with this key select group of lawmakers. It's party leaders from the House and Senate. It's leaders of the relevant committees for Venezuela in the House and Senate as well. Democrats are clearly frustrated, Blake, that they were not notified until after the fact about the raid. They also have questions about what it really looks like in practice in Venezuela if, as President Trump says, the U.S. is running things. How do you do that without boots on the ground? What happens if there's an attack, for example, on American service members? And the legal basis about whether moving forward this kind of thing happens in other places as well. Those are the kinds of questions that are being asked right now, we're told, inside of that room. On the Republican side, you've got people like Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune who say they don't share those same concerns. They are perfectly happy with the amount of information the administration has shared with them already. Take a listen to what Speaker Johnson said before heading into that skiff.
But our understanding is that this is an operation that only required notice to Congress and not prior authorization. I spoke with the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of State and the President himself within those hours after it began. Marco Rubio called me at 4 a.m.
Now, Blake, at some point later this week, there's going to be a vote on a war powers resolution. It's an attempt to try to take congressional authority sort of back. But whether that passes, it's an open question. And even if it does, whether the Pentagon or the White House honors that, too, also an open question right now.
Joe Kay, live for us tonight, Capitol Hallways. Joe, thank you. The action in Venezuela raising questions about who or what country as well could be next. We've heard President Trump go down that lane. Our Kellie Meyer live at the White House with the latest there. Kellie?
Yeah, and you made that point first over the weekend, Blake. Cuba, Colombia, even Greenland, the president clearly sending warning signs to other nations. As his deputy chief of staff, Stephen Miller, just told me they are doubling down that the U.S. is running Venezuela. Colombia now, for example, President Trump believes is guilty of allowing drugs into the country, into the U.S., but that country is now putting 30,000 troops at the border with Venezuela. Colombia's president asking the people of Colombia to defend him, quote, against any illegitimate violent act. Here's more from the president on Air Force One.
Colombia is very sick, too, run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States, and he's not going to be doing it very long.
And President Trump re-upping his wish to take over Greenland, the mineral-rich country that he says the U.S. needs for national security. Greenlanders overwhelmingly disagree and oppose U.S. control. And Cuba is getting the most attention from everyone from Secretary Rubio to Lindsey Graham. Trump says Cuba is ready to fall, warning that Havana can no longer rely on Caracas for oil. Now, Venezuela is Cuba's closest ally in Latin America and a vital source of low-cost oil and vital for Cuba's economy really since 1999. And on average, Cuba received 35,000 barrels a day of oil from Venezuela. Blake.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.